Get yourself a tool belt. Now, obviously, this is close to with everything that I have on it, this is close to a $700 tool belt. This is my system that I designed. It's the Dawson X. It is a very high performance tool belt. It's well thought out. It's been designed over years of being in the trade. As much as I would love to sell you my tool belt system, as I get kickbacks whenever it sells, obviously, I don't think you need this getting into the trades. It's too expensive. Make money before you spend money. What is up, everyone? Here are the 10-ish or so tools that I would recommend buying or getting if you're starting out in framing or rough construction, which is pretty much anything exterior, anything rough interior, basically anything from foundation formation to framing. This is what I would recommend. So first off, I would recommend a framing hammer. I think 19 ounce is going to be solid. You could go, the heavier, but honestly, I've never not gotten what I needed to get done with a 19. So I would recommend getting a wood handled 19. It's really cheap. I think this one was maybe 16, 17 bucks. You don't need these expensive T-Bones or Martinez's. To be honest, I find myself pulling this one out just because I just really do like it. So just get yourself a hammer. That's going to be important. Next thing is a Swanson Speed Square, specifically Swanson. It is very cost effective. It comes with a booklet, so you can maybe get some education on how to use the different parts of this tool. This is something that you're going to have pulled out probably 10, 15 times a day, so at minimum, honestly. So get yourself a Speed Square Swanson. You can get them at Home Depot, Lowe's. You can really get them anywhere. Really cost effective and durable. This is probably, this isn't the first one because I lost the first one, but this is probably my second or third Swanson, and I probably bought this 9, 10 years ago. They last forever. These are indented marks, so they don't wipe off, they don't get scraped off. I highly recommend Swanson. You can't go wrong with it. The next thing is a framing square. Now, this is different than a Speed Square, obviously. Speed Square you're going to be using a lot more. A framing square with stair jigs. Again, this kind of comes down to your expertise. If you know how to use this, it's a pretty valuable item to have and know how to use. If you don't know how to use it, I would definitely watch some videos and learn how to use it. Because if you show up to a job with a framing square and you know how to use it, that's going to be huge brownie points, like right out the gate. Because I know guys that have been in the trades for a long time that still don't really know how to use a framing square. So if you can master this, then you're going to be a valuable employee. I highly recommend getting that and even just playing with it on your own, learning how to cut stair stringers, learning how to utilize your jigs and how you have, all the things that can do. The next thing is obviously a tape measure. Now, I love to rock my 16. I'm rarely pulling further than 16 when I'm working. I would probably recommend getting like a 25 foot. I think this Milwaukee one is really great. I bought 2 of these the other day for a deal. I got 2 of them for 19 bucks. So I went ahead and bought them. The Milwaukee 25 foot, the FatMax is a great one. Even the Lufkin tape. The Lufkin tapes are actually really good. I really like the Lufkin. So again, you can't really go wrong. Just don't get something super cheap because you're gonna have your measurements aren't gonna be right, or at least they're not gonna be right for very long. They get out of whack quick. So make sure you go with something like Stanley, Milwaukee, Lufkin, even Irwin has some really good tapes, and they're really cost effective. I mean, I think this one was maybe 10 bucks, 15 bucks, something like that. So super cost effective. Now, moving on to power tools. I don't think you need an arsenal of power tools. I know social media pushes this whole thing of like, you need to have this trailer or this pack out or this whole thing, which again, having been in the trades for half my life, I have collected some stuff, but this is not what I started with. I actually started with Harbor Freight. I started with the Hercules tool line, and until I was making money, I didn't buy anything but Harbor Freight. So you can get these same tools at Harbor Freight. I would probably maybe recommend it. But if you know you're going to be in the trades, if you are like, this is what I'm doing, I love it, and even if you're not in the trades, you know you're going to be doing things on your own, and these tools are going to be utilized, I would recommend starting with something that you can grow into. And again, I hate Milwaukee, but you could start with Milwaukee, DeWalt, Metabo, Flex, Makita, Hilti. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but get these tools in any of those brands because then you'll be able to build off it. When you buy these at first, you're going to start collecting batteries because you're going to start buying the tool with the battery. And then as you grow, you won't have to carry a bunch of different batteries with you. So I love Flex and I use Flex. Again, you guys have seen my videos on how I think Flex is moving in the future. So we'll see how that pans out. But overall, this is what I have. So I'm going to show you guys. Get an impact driver. An impact. Don't get a drill. This is a drill. This is a drill. And with the way that the construction industry is going, I mean rarely, pull these drills out. The only time I'm pulling these drills out is if I'm using some type of auger bit to where I'm really, plowing through some holes. But other than that, I never pull this thing out. I always use my impact because they have drill bits all the way up to, I mean, you can get them pretty big, but you can get standard sizes all the way up to 3/8 or 3/4 and use your impact for that. So get an impact drill, preferably brushless. That's going to be your best option. It's going to last longer. It's going to perform better. Get a brushless impact drill. You're going to be using that a lot. The next thing is a Sawzall, a reciprocating saw. Now, I have this compact one. There's bigger ones. I have a bigger one. It's tucked away because I literally never use it. I never need something that big. I recommend getting more of a compact one because it has the power behind it to do anything, but it also is a little more compact for stuff that maybe the bigger one, you wouldn't be able to get in there with that. This one has a really nice flush flat portion to where if you're cutting bottom plates, you can get down there and get that bottom plate, but you can also flip the blade backwards if you got some weird angle that you got to get up in there and do that. So I really like this Flex one. It's my go-to all the time. The next thing is a circular saw. Now, I highly recommend, and you don't have to, because this comes down to preference, but I highly recommend getting a rear-handled saw. So this is a rear-handled saw. I have a different one, but I never use it. It's in a box tucked away somewhere in a shop. But rear-handled saw, 7 1/4 inch blade, that's going to cover all the bases, right? I have this inline saw. I almost was going to tell you to get an inline saw just because I use this actually more than I use the rear-handled saw. But again, there are times when I pull this saw out because this one can't quite do it in the sense of just the blade size. This is, I think, a 6 1/2 inch blade. So if you're buying one saw, this one is fun and really easy and really light to carry around. But if you're only getting one saw, which I recommend, you only get one when you're starting out. You don't need all this. Make money before you spend it, right? I would recommend getting the rear-handled circular saw because it covers more bases. And again, it's one tool. You don't need another one. As you work, as you figure out your workflow, you can look into getting a smaller saw that maybe is a little bit easier to carry on your belt if you're climbing and cutting on roofs or whatnot. So having a rear-handled circular saw, I highly recommend. I would say Flex and DeWalt have the best rear-handled saws. I do not recommend getting a Milwaukee rear-handed saw. The Milwaukee rear-handle saw, I had one for a couple months. I ended up selling it. It is garbage. Now, that was about 3 years ago, so I don't know if they've made it better, but it was the worst rear-handle saw I have ever used. I would choose any rear-handle saw over Milwaukee. So I would say actually number one rear-handle saw is DeWalt. I don't know why, I just like it. That's the one I used for probably 4 or 5 years before I got into Flex. Milwaukee or DeWalt's rear-handle saw is an absolute beast. This one is also an absolute beast. You can't go wrong with either one. So get yourself a rear-handle saw. The next thing that I recommend that most people won't talk about is a mini blower. This blower has saved me more times than you could possibly imagine. Blowing out tool bags, blowing out tools, blowing out table saws, miter saws, just blowing off your clothes after getting dirty, blowing off the job site, blowing out trailers. If you're starting in the trades, you're probably going to be doing a little bit of cleaning or a lot of cleaning. So this is something that's pretty cool that you can pull out and clean up stuff. It's a little bit smaller, so if you're blowing out the interior of a subfloor, it's something that can kind of keep the dust down. You can kind of go small with it. I highly recommend getting a mini blower. This tool gets used every single day for me, every single day. So I don't even put this one away. I actually keep it right here. It stays here all the time because I pull it out all the time. So those are the tools I would recommend. Also, get yourself a tool belt. Now, obviously, this is close to with everything that I have on it, this is close to a $700 tool belt. This is my system that I designed. It's the Dawson X. It is a very high-performance tool belt. It's well thought out. It's been designed over years of being in the trades. I've done everything from concrete, foundation, all the way up to roof framing, house framing, carpentry work, in the cabinetry, flooring. So this is designed to be a jack-of-all-trades belt to where if you are sometimes framing, but then you're sometimes hanging cabinets, or you're sometimes doing concrete, but then you're sometimes doing flooring, this is the tool belt for that. But you don't need this to start out with. As much as I would love to sell you my tool belt system, as I get kickbacks whenever it sells, obviously. I don't think you need this getting into the trades. It's too expensive. Make money before you spend money. So grab yourself a cheap belt, a Milwaukee belt, a DeWalt belt, the AWP belt or whatever it's called from Home Depot. It's not going to be super comfortable. It's not going to be the most efficient belt, but get your workflow down before you start dropping money on stuff like this. So get yourself a tool belt that you can get for probably 40, 50 bucks, a hammer, a tape measure, a speed square. If you want to learn and be a really valuable person, learn how to use a framing square, an impact driver, a reciprocating saw, and a circular saw, and that blower, and you're going to be good to go. You show up to the job site, and this can all fit into a duffel bag. It can fit into the back of your car, the back of your truck, whatever it is, but it covers so many bases. There's not many things on the job site that you can't get done with these tools. Now, the tidbit, the bonus, here's the bonus tool that I would recommend. Get yourself a battery-operated nail gun. Now, the reason I say battery-operated is for one reason, and if this is not your case, then disregard and get yourself the Metabo framing nailer, because this nailer, honestly, there's nothing that beats this nailer. I mean, there is, but not by any measurable amount. This is my favorite. It's light. It's easy to use. It holds a ton of nails, and it just keeps cranking no matter what. I've framed in the rain with that thing so many times, and it just keeps kicking. Make sure you oil it. But why I would recommend getting a battery-operated framing nailer is because if you get an air nailer, now you have to buy hoses, you have to buy air compressors, and you have to buy extension cords. Okay, so that adds a huge price tag onto getting one tool, which is a nail gun. So if you buy a battery-powered nail gun that is the same brand as the other tools that I just recommended, now you have batteries to operate that battery nailer. You're not having to ask people for their air hoses, their air compressors. If you are doing something on your own and the job site trailer isn't there, where you don't have access to the air compressor and the hoses, you can still get stuff done. If you're working on the backside of the job, which a lot of new guys end up doing chingadera work, right? That little things here and there. If you're finishing things up and they have the air compressor and hoses all hooked up on the other side of the job site, and you're off, nailing in some extra nails somewhere, it's pretty badass for you to say, hey, don't worry about it, boss. I got myself a nailer, a framing nailer, and I got some racks of nails. I don't need anything from you. You can go get to work. So I would recommend getting, again, this comes down to whatever tool brand you buy into. If you buy into Flex, get the Flex nailer. If you buy into DeWalt, get the DeWalt nailer. I'm not here to split hairs here. The Flex nail gun, I like it. I like it. The issue with the Flex nail gun, and this is the only battery operated, this is 2 of the 3 battery operated nail guns that I have. The thing I don't like about it is from nose to back of the gun is 15.5 inches. I don't like that. If you're framing 16 inches on center, do the math, you can figure out what the issue is here. So that's one thing that I don't like about this. I also have the pass load. I would not recommend the pass load for anybody starting out. This one's similar. I think this one is about 14.5 inches, which makes a lot more sense if you're thinking about 16 on center. And then I have the Senko framing nailer, which is pretty much identical to the Flex. And I mean, again, it comes down to what battery platform you're on. So overall, if you look at the air nailers and you measure these, you'll realize that this one is only about 13.5 inches. That makes a big difference. When you're in there spinning around, getting up in joists, trying to frame things out, even though this gun has a longer rack, I'm blanking on the name, whatever it's called, it's still a lot easier to maneuver than a battery-operated nail gun. So if you are in any of those scenarios, I recommend just getting a battery nailer that you can throw your batteries in. If you already have air compressor and hoses, I would probably prefer that you go with an air nailer. You're going to have a lot more production value. You're going to have less batteries to continue to charge, especially if you're actually framing. If you're framing, like you are working on a framing crew, don't get a battery operated. If you're on an actual framing crew, I recommend not getting a nail gun or a air compressor or anything, because they'll most likely have one for you. But if you are working on like more of a general construction crew where you're doing things here and there, not just framing, then a battery would be great. If you know you're gonna have access to air and an air compressor, I would recommend buying the Metabo air nailer. It's just you're going to get a lot more production out of it. It's going to be a lot better. So overall, those are the tools that I would break down for you guys that I would recommend getting. If this helps you, please leave a comment in the comment section if you have ideas, if you have other tools, if you don't like my selection and you would change things. There's stuff that I didn't mention that are just simple, like pencils and markers and stuff like that. But overall, these are kind of the bigger ones that I would recommend making sure you have in your arsenal, or if you're going to trade school, stuff like that. These are the things you're going to want to be putting on your list to think about what you got to get done. The bigger stuff, if you're new, there's going to be other guys with those tools on the job, so you're not going to need the miter saws, the table saws, all the intricate, multi tools, rotary hammers, jigsaws, impacts, or the wrench, the torque wrenches. You're not going to need all that stuff, the brad nailers. You don't need that yet. So these are the ones that are going to get you started in general construction and more specifically framing. And you should be good to go. So let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when I drop new videos. If you have videos that you would like to see, leave it in the comments below, and I'll see if I can get those videos made for you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I'm just here to help, and hopefully that helps somebody. So I'll see you on the next one. Much love.